Hello guys, Oroth here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm checking in here on a Sunday. I'm getting ready to watch some Formula 1 soon. But before doing so, I have promised to release a follow-up video on the Wizard PvP build I released on Friday. And in that video I used a setup with 7.6k resonance and around 5 to 5.5k secondaries. And it performs very well. But whenever I upload a video and I have a setup with a little bit of a higher resonance, I sometimes get comments, both on direct messages on Discord or in the comments of the video that, well, this build looks super cool, but it only works if you have higher resonance. And I often don't understand these comments because, first of all, even if I play with 7.6k resonance, a lot of my enemies, they are a lot higher. So they are at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12k resonance. And if that's the case, I'm not that strong compared to them when we look at the stats isolated. So that doesn't really make any sense, because if I'm at 7k and fight someone at 12k, it's the same thing as if someone is 3k resonance fighting someone at 7k resonance. But everything is not only about resonance and secondaries either. And this is what I wanted to just explain a little bit first before diving into the main topic of this video, which is that I will show you a bunch of games where I have lowered my resonance and my secondaries. But I first wanted to just explain a concept that I think about. So imagine that there is a score system in PvP, and there are 3 different scales. So one scale is based on your resonance and your secondaries, so the pay to win aspects of your character. Then you have one scale that is based on the build you are using. And the third scale is based on your skills and your playstyle. So imagine that you have a capped character, you have maximum resonance and capped secondaries. Yeah, then you get 100 score on the stat scale. But if you have 0 resonance and no normal gems whatsoever, then you get 0 points on that scale. And the same goes for the build. If you have the perfect build in this meta or the perfect counter to the current meta, yeah, then you get 100 points. And if you have the worst build possible that can't do anything, then you get 0 points. And then you do the same for your skills. If you are the best player in Diablo Immortal, you know everything, you have perfect timing on the skills you use, you have perfect map awareness, everything is perfect, then you get a score of 100. But if you're totally clueless and don't know anything, then you get a score of 0. And what you have to do in reality is that you have to take all of these scales and then you have to add them together. So if you have a capped character, you get 100 points from that scale. Maybe you are an average player in terms of skill, then you get 50 points. And then maybe you use an average build, then you get another 50 points. And then your total score is 200, which is very, very high. So if someone else uses the same build and has the same skill as you, but they are not capped, so they have lower score on the stats, yeah, then you will beat them easily, because their combined score will be a lot lower. But in reality, almost none of us are at either 0 or 100 on any of these scales. So it's a combination of many different things. And if you are playing and you don't perform well, and you compare yourself with another player, you might see that, okay, they are killing me so easily because their stats are higher. And yeah, the stats, they do matter. So if you have higher resonance or higher secondaries, you will perform a little bit better. But what you could also do is that you could look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, where do I place myself on this skill scale? Most players, they are probably quite average. They maybe land around 50. And I would even go further and say that the quality of players in Diablo Immortal in terms of PvP, they are a lot lower compared to many other PvP games. And this is mainly due to some pay-to-win aspects in Diablo Immortal that might turn avid PvPers off because they want an even playing field. But on top of that, Diablo Immortal is also a mobile game. You can play it on the PC or on iPad, but a lot of players, they play PvP on their phones, and then it's not the optimal device to perform well in PvP. Also, let's be honest, this is Diablo Immortal. If we look at the age of players that are playing Diablo Immortal, we are a little bit older. There are not that many teenagers with quick reflexes and muscle memory. And I don't mean this in a bad way because I'm turning into a boomer myself. But maybe that factor doesn't matter that much because, yeah, if you're competing in a veteran class against other 40-year-olds or 50-year-olds, yeah, then it doesn't really matter because in that aspect we are all at the same level, I guess. But my point here is that if you have lower resonance, you have around 3k resonance and you have 4k secondaries perhaps, you will get maybe 40 points on the stat scale. And if you fight someone else that has double your resonance, maybe they will end up at 70 on the stat scale. Let's just make this example. You can make up for that loss in score by having better skills and maybe using a more powerful build to counter their build. So it doesn't really matter when you are 3k resonance. If you fight someone who has 9k resonance, most often that player will have a high stat score, but since the average player in Diablo Immortal has quite low skill score, there's a lot of room for improvement where you can actually compete against them. So if you're at 3k resonance and you can go from 40 points in the skill scale up to 80 points, then you have already made up for that difference. So in reality, you can actually beat a lot of high resonance players that are a lot stronger than you if you are a good player. And on top of that, you have to not only be a good player, you have to make the correct choices in terms of which build you want to use and things like this. And especially with the wizard build I showcased on Friday, this is an extremely good build to play for someone with low resonance because you have such high mobility and the skill required, the potential of this build is so high because if you play it well, you can avoid taking damage from any type of player. The only thing then is that if you're fighting against someone who has very high skill combined with very high stats, but that's not the case in most situations. So the goal of my video here is to show that you can make up for lower resonance and secondaries by performing better if with skills and with the build you choose. And yeah, I hope that this system made some sense, and I hope it will be even clearer now when we dive into the videos. So this is a little bit of a different video, but I think it's interesting for those of you who want to improve your results in PvP, and maybe you can learn something. If you have any questions after the video, please let me know in the comments. And also, if you have any input on this score system that I just talked about, please let me know. But I think that it makes quite a lot of sense. So with that being said, here comes the first game. Enjoy. Okay, so now we're gonna play 5 consecutive games. I wanted to show you an uncut battleground session because, yeah, I don't want you to think that I can just pick out some good games here and there. So let's look at 5 games in a row and see how this performs. And now I have around 2.5k resonance, and I have lowered my secondaries to around 4k. So a lot of players, they have said that this should not work at all, so let's see how it performs. When I have lowered my resonance and lowered my secondaries, I have to adapt my playstyle a little bit. And remember now that this is the first games I play with lowered resonance, so I'm not really used to it yet, so I might have to play a little bit differently when I'm up against very strong opponents. But hopefully these games will still be a great way to find out whether this build can work or not when you have lower resonance as well. And still I'm gonna try to be a disruptor at their backline and try to hinder them from reaching the idol to push. So I'm gonna try to be as annoying as possible in this area here. And in this particular game, the first one, the enemies, they are not super strong. They are not not weaker than I am right now when we look at the stats. We're gonna see games later on with tougher opponents. So maybe here I can play a little bit more aggressively compared to some of the other games. But already now in this game we can see that I can use the same type of playstyle that I'm using in my other games with the higher resonance setup, and I can still be very impactful here in this game. And of course I also have to remind you that my rating is above 3,500 in Battlegrounds, and when you reach 3,500, then all of a sudden the matchmaking will not take resonance into account as much. So I'm often ending up in lobbies with players that has 10,000 resonance, even if I use a setup with a lot lower, like in this case. But like I've said before when I made a video about this battleground map, is that a good strategy is to try to disrupt them early, close to their spawn, so that they can't reach their idols simply in an easy way. So if we can stop them early, then they will not be able to push, and they will not be able to run to defend either. So it's quite of a good strategy if you can take over the battlefield like this. And this game was fairly easy, and it's a win. And this first game, I think that we can conclude that this build works very well, or at least that it can work very well if you play with low resonance. But now I'm gonna fast forward until we get another game, and then we're gonna see how we perform in this one. And here we can see that the lobby is a lot stronger. Here we will fight against many players that has 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 or even 10,000 resonance, and you will see that on their wings here. So here I try to play a little bit more conservatively. I still can't be a coward and just fall back entirely. I want to be in the front here to apply pressure. And here, for example, you can see there's a 7k guy here. I can knock him up over and over again without taking any damage, and this will not only allow me to deal a lot of damage to him, it can also allow my teammates to maybe help me to kill him off. So yeah, it will work very well even in these high resonance lobbies. Of course they are not as squishy in the lower lobbies, so I will maybe get a bit less kills, but I can still be extremely impactful. And just like here, now I failed a little bit because I got knocked up there by the Moa, but I was able to disrupt that Crusader, even though he's a lot higher resonance than me. So once again, yeah, I try to be here on their backline, but of course, no matter the setup, if you get stuck or knocked up, it doesn't matter if you are low resonance or high resonance, then you will be in trouble. So you will see me die sometimes because I make a mistake and I overextend and I do an offensive dash when I shouldn't. But yeah, for the most part, if I play correctly, it will work fine. But of course, when I use a lower resonance version, I have to rely even more on my timing and on my skills, because each mistake is even more costly, because I will die a little bit easier. So yeah, of course, resonance and secondaries and all of this, it's of course a factor, but it's not everything. And here I get pulled in, and I get stunned, and I will probably die here. But I do think that we are in the game and we don't get farmed by the high resonance players, because we have this mobility, and yeah, I will definitely say that this is very playable even in this lobby so far. And we are also able to push. And here I am up against he was even high resonance than 10k, I think, and I can still knock him up and get away, and I can kite him and stay at a safe distance. You can see there, for example, I managed to kill him, and he's a Tempest above 10k resonance, but I can see on his circle which range he has, so I can dance around the circle and make sure that he can't reach me, and if he tries to stun me, he will also fail. And yeah, here I'm killing off a lot of high resonance players, because I managed to knock a couple of them up at the same time. So yeah, it goes quite well. And now I get knocked up by this high resonance player again, but you see I can knock him back up like this and keep him out of battle for quite a long time. So yeah, if the first game wasn't evidence that this build can work, even at low resonance, I have to say that I think that this game shows it even more. Let's also take a look here at the players. Okay, the Tempest there was 8.8k resonance. Let's go through the team here and see what it looks like. Here we have 6k resonance. We killed him a couple of times, I think. Here we have a one 10.8k. Yeah, let's just go through the team here just to illustrate that we are one of the weakest players in this lobby if we compare ourselves to the enemies here. And this might be like a proof to some people that, of course, as I've said, resonance and secondaries, they will matter. Okay, they had a very low one in the opponent team, the last one there. But resonance and secondaries, of course, it matters, but your skills also matters a lot. So, of course, if you play against someone who has the same amount of skill as you, and you play the same build that have the same setup, of course they will outperform you if they have a higher resonance or higher secondaries. But in most cases, the skill level is not exactly the same, and you use different builds, different play styles. So if you just play the correct way, you can be very impactful and do a lot of harm. And let's see this game as well. It's going to be interesting because we also have some strong opponents on the enemy team here. Of course, we also have strong teammates on our team that will also help. But yeah. And once again, you see me here at the front. I always like to defend in this game mode because it's a lot harder to push than to defend. So in general, it's better to play a little bit defensively. And here I have to run away a little bit because I will not survive if I get stunned again. And I need to heal up. And there I also made a mistake. I should dance around his circle and not get caught by a stun if I play perfectly. The same thing there. I got stuck within that Tempest knock-up circle, and then he can get the overhand and kill me off. So even when I play with low resonance, of course, if I used my optimal resonance version there, I could maybe have survived and maybe fight back. It would give me a little bit of extra time, but I still die because I make a mistake. And here you can see I can knock Dip's Crusader up before he reaches the idol. I should have checked the minimap and not gone straight back, because then I got stunned by that other Crusader. It was another mistake. I should have gone into the middle instead, to the other side, because then I wouldn't be stunned and I would survive and I could keep applying pressure. So whenever I die with this build, it's mostly because I make a mistake. I overextend, I don't have great map awareness, I make mistakes. So here you can see I was dancing around the circle again of the Tempest, and I was not knocked up. And now I have to try to get away here. You see he has 6k wings, and I beat him 1 versus 1. I take a lot of damage, and I didn't play it optimally, but he couldn't land his stun on me thanks to my immunity. So now I have to go back and heal again. And yeah, maybe sometimes I go back just to a little bit more safe position here. Even when someone is not close, I am constantly having all of my skills up, because I want as many Lightning Novas active at the same time, and I also want to keep my maximum movement speed. And now I go back just to heal and wait for my slow time, and then I get back at it again. And whenever I feel that, okay, I might die here because I'm low HP, I can get away from these Tempests. They can't attack me. And when I fall back, I can heal up, and then if they are still at the same position, I can go back and kill them off. And now I'm facing another wizard here trying to knock me up. And you can see there, he managed to stun me because I didn't use my teleport and I didn't keep my charge of immunity. So another mistake, because I had the teleport ready, but my muscle memory failed me a little bit, and then he was able to stun me and I died. So all of these deaths, I will die a little bit more due to my low resonance, because everyone makes mistakes. But if I don't make mistakes, I can survive this game without dying, and I will be able to kill off a lot of enemies while doing so. Like here, for example, we have this this wizard. He's also probably a lot stronger than me. We will check the stats after this game probably. And yeah, I can knock him up and control him and kill him off without an issue. And yeah, there we kill off, I think it's around 5k resonance and a lot higher secondaries. So yeah, I mean, I would say it's quite clear by now that we can do something really fun when we play this build. And you can see now we have this Tempest. He's 8.8k, I think we saw the last game, and he comes with to me in full HP. But I can bully him and prevent him from dealing damage to me, and I can almost kill him off. And yeah, now he's dead, and that's all thanks to us. So he couldn't reach the idol, he couldn't beat me 1 versus 1. He's almost 4 times higher resonance and a lot higher secondaries. And that's because I stay at a safe distance to not get knocked up by his circle, and I also time my knockups on him to control him. So yeah, we can be a pain in the ass. And yeah, this guy can try to run away as well, but since we are so fast, he can't do it. And now the game is almost over, and of course, maybe we are not carrying the games when we are at 2.5k resonance in this lobby, but we are having great success with it. So yeah, definitely very viable, and yeah, I just have to focus even harder to not make mistakes. That's it. And yeah, there we managed to push, and we're done with this game. Let's see if we can just spectate the enemy team here a little bit. And here it's not only important to, if we win or not, to make a decision whether this build works or not. We also have to see how well do we perform in 1 versus 1 against high resonance players. And when we go through this team, we can see that once again their stats is a lot higher than our stats.
So I think they had some weak players as well on their team. So that's usually how it is. You have some strong players and some weak players. But in this case, we are among the weakest players in our team, and we can see there at the bottom that they have two very weak players, and we also have two very weak players. So maybe we had a little bit stronger team because we had a high resonance barbarian that could help us defend, which helped a lot. But yeah, still very good. And now we fast forward again to the next game. So once again, I always try to go up to defend in the beginning. I never use the teleports, the portals on the map, because sometimes I can teleport into AoE effects and I can get stunned, and then I will just die. So it's not a good way to do it. Here I can time the knock-up for when the gladiator is over, and then I have to fall back and heal up. So now I can see people are approaching on the map, so sometimes I will also interrupt my bandage so that they will not be able to reach me, because I have to use a teleport to get away from them and to get my loss of control immunity charge. And now I'm standing in between the idol and their spawn, so I try to prevent them from reaching it. And so far, none of them has been able to reach the idols while we are pushing, so it works well. And there I should have checked on the minimap, because I did a dash into the group. I was a little bit greedy to kill off that necromancer, and then I die immediately. So once again, even in these low resonance lobbies, if I make a mistake, I will often die. And that doesn't matter if I'm high resonance, as I mentioned. So once again, I go behind the idol, and no one can go back to heal now, because I will be able to kill them off, just like I did there. I checked the minimap, someone is trying to get past, and this is where the Falter Grasp gem helps a lot as well, because if I just hit them with one critical hit, they will not be able to dash away from me, and I can start attacking them. Here I play it a little bit safe and I go back to heal. I could have been greedy, maybe killed him off, but it's not really worth it. It's better if I stay alive here and can keep applying pressure. Oh, these summons deals a lot of damage to me. I try to get away now, but yeah. And with the high resonance version there, I would probably be able to survive that. So of course it makes a difference, but it's not everything. So even more with the lower resonance setup, I have to use my range even further, because yeah, I mean, since I have such long range, I can still poke enemies and kite them a bit more, since I'm a little bit more squishy. And if I would play with this setup a little bit longer, after some time I would learn a little bit better how well I can perform in different situations. So then I can change my playstyle a little bit. And there I made a huge mistake, and I was just running into his stun without using teleport. That was not necessary. Luckily, he was a little bit on the weaker side, so he didn't kill me off that time. In one of the other games, I would die instantly if I did that mistake. And yeah, I really like to watch my own gameplay, because I learn a lot. I can see how I perform and if I can do things differently. And I think this is something that all players should think about, because most of the time I think that people make excuses. If they are not performing well, it's because the game is unbalanced, or it's because the other team is so much stronger. The only thing that you can affect are your setup and your playstyle, but also your skills. So you have to practice a lot and become better and better. So you shouldn't really... Of course, sometimes you can blame what's happening onto matchmaking and stuff like this, but in most cases you could always have performed better. So it's always better to look inwards and ask yourself, what can I do different? Because if you keep dying and dying over and over again, and you have terrible stats and you have a poor win rate, of course, if we look at one isolated game, it can be due to the matchmaking, but in the long run, it's because you are doing something wrong. So you have to adapt your playstyle, you have to make tweaks to your setup, and yeah, then you will slowly start to perform better and better. And yeah, this was also an interesting game, and I have to say that we controlled it quite well. The games were fairly even, but that's also one thing. Like the matchmaking, they take your resonance and your secondaries into account, and if it's a good matchmaking in terms of power level of the players in the different teams, then it will only come down to the skills. So in many games where it's actually very balanced in terms of resonance and in terms of secondaries, and you have the same team compositions and stuff like this, there will still be a lot of games that are a landslide in one or the other direction, and then it comes down to the skills. So if you are very skilled players, then that will make a huge difference, because then if you are more skilled compared to the other players, your power level, that will tip the scale in many situations. And that's when you will start to pump up your win rate a little bit as well, with a few percentages here and there. And yeah, if you can get your win rate up with 5%, that's a lot in the long run. So yeah, here we have another game again. I think this might be the last one. I think we're gonna have 5 games in a row. And yeah, I just wanted to make some more games in a row, just so that we could compare and to see that, yeah, it's not just a lucky fluke if it's going well or if it's going bad. So yeah, here we can see I was overextending a lot. I was not playing safe enough when I'm up against 5 players solo. So yeah, I can't kamikaze. I can't do it with a high resonance version either. But now I can start annoying these Crusaders again. And he was a little bit lucky there that I couldn't knock him up 2 times, because then he would have died there. But he will at least be stopped from reaching the idols. And I can be a pain in the ass. And yeah, there I kill off another Satyr. Now I get stunned. Once again, I maybe get a little bit carried away when I want to kill that Crusader. And then I didn't have my CC immunity up, and I get stunned immediately and I die. So once again, I got carried away, I played a little bit sloppy, and I die immediately. Only because of me. I can't blame anyone else. Now we're starting to have some issues here, actually, because they are pushing and we are not pushing as much. And that's what I've been saying, that it's a lot harder to push than it is to defend. So you should always focus in this game mode a little bit more on defending. Because even though we are a lot of players trying to push, we are not able to do so. And when we have too many players trying to push, then it's easier for them to push. And if we are fighting 2 versus 2 in defense, it's a lot easier for them to push as well, compared if we are fighting 6 versus 6. Because if we fight 2 versus 2, we have to sometimes get away from the idols because we have too low HP, and it will not work. And then they will be able to micro push it over and over again. Here I stay at a safe kiting distance. I could probably go in there a little bit earlier to kill him off, because I could see that he was low HP and he didn't have Conjuration of Light ready. But yeah, we got him anyways. And now all of a sudden we have turned the game around, because I think that we have a lot more kills than they do in this game, and then after some time it will also be longer resurrection times for the enemies, and then we will start to be able to push a little bit more easy. But if we would have been playing in defense in the beginning, the team, then they wouldn't have been able to push it this far, I think. And now we can just be there in the front, and if anyone tries to get through to push, we can just stop them like we do right here. So when you have pushed far like this, it becomes a lot easier to win the game, because then you will naturally have a team that fights in the front, and yeah, and most of their enemies will just go and defend and not try to push through, because now we have 2 minutes remaining of the game, and their only chance to win is if they also push. So they have to take risks here and still try to get out and push in this situation. But yeah, I mean, we can control it now fairly easy, because yeah, they will not be able to push with 1 or 2 players only, and if we are this many players defending, it's not going to be an issue. Okay, so we heal up a little bit. And yeah, this game is closing into an end. Let's see if we can have some fun before finishing this off. And yeah, now the game is stabilized. I can't really see any way we can lose this, to be honest. And yeah, even when we fight out there on the edges, we're still dealing damage to all of the enemies on the idols, because we have this long range with the lightning novas. And here I can just make sure I don't get stunned, and then I jump in the right moment. Okay, he was not really dead yet. I thought I would kill him there. I love when I can just finish it off with a dash. It's a good feeling when you control those crusaders for some time and then you sting like a cobra in the right moment. So yeah, I mean, once again, a very impactful game. This was not the toughest lobby with the toughest enemies, so we can play a little bit more aggressively. But the stats are great. We deal the most damage, and this badge we received in many of the games. And I can, at least in my opinion, safely conclude that this build is very viable no matter your resonance or your secondaries. Of course, secondaries and your resonance matters, but your skill also matters a lot, and your playstyle matters a lot. So, in general, when you are trying a new build out, you have to practice a lot before you start to perform at the top level of your capacity. So, you can't just discard some builds and say that it's not good because of your resonance or your secondaries. Because, yeah, of course, there might be some builds that are a little bit more sensitive to your defensive capabilities. But in general, I think that in most cases, if a build is viable at any resonance level, then you can adapt properly based on your stats and perform well and be impactful. And there has been some people who argue that this build is not a meta breaker because, yeah, you can't carry games when you're 2.5k resonance in a high resonance lobby, but I don't think that is the definition of a meta build, that you have to be overpowered against any type of enemy. What it means, in my opinion, is that a build can be called a meta breaker if it allows a play style that can work around the current meta. So in this case, for example, we have a lot of dashes, we have CC immunity, superb mobility. This means that we can avoid all of the AoE stuns from the Crusaders. We can infiltrate their backline and start disrupting them before they reach the idols, force them to use Conjuration of Light and things like this. And this is breaking the meta, because if we are doing this successfully, they will not be impactful anymore. And then you can fight against opponents with 5 or 6 Crusaders, but they will never be able to reach the idols. And then you're breaking the current meta, because then they will lose. There are many games I have played against 5-6 Crusaders using this build, and I'm able to dance around the circles and just be a pain in their ass, and then we win the game in the end. Even though there has been a lot of messages in the chat before the game starts that this game is already over, they have 5-6 Crusaders. But yeah, this is just my take on it, and I just wanted to share this video today because I think it's just important to maybe serve as an eye opener that you can perform well even with lower resonance in high resonance lobbies. So with that being said, I want to wish you a nice day or nice evening wherever you are. And to all of my clan members in Nyx, I would also like to say Voruk Nyx, Sholak Sol. So bye bye.